Welcome to my channel. If you're a fan of thrilling and terrifying horror stories, you're in the right place. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to experience every moment of fear and suspense. The Whispering Shadow. Sarah moved into a quiet house near a dark forest, but soon strange things started happening. At night, she heard whispers calling her name in a raspy voice. The shadows in her room grew longer and seemed to move on their own. One night, she opened the door to leave, only to see a tall, pale figure standing in the yard, watching her. Terrified, she slammed the door, but the figure vanished. Later, Sarah learned the house had been abandoned for years, and locals whispered of a spirit that haunted it, a being that fed on fear, and now it was calling her. The mirror. Emma had always been drawn to old antiques, so when she found a vintage mirror at a local thrift store, she couldn't resist. It was beautiful, its dark wood frame intricately carved with strange symbols. The store owner warned her, "It's been here for years. Some things shouldn't be kept." Ignoring the warning, Emma hung the mirror in her bedroom. That night, as she lay in bed, she heard a soft tapping from the direction of the mirror. Curious, she got up to check, but found nothing. The mirror, however, seemed to reflect more than just her room. It seemed to show movement in the background, shadows shifting. Over the next few nights, the tapping grew louder, and the reflections became more disturbing. She began seeing figures in the mirror, pale, gaunt faces, reaching out to her. One night, she saw her own reflection smiling at her, but Emma wasn't smiling. Terrified, she tried to throw the mirror away, but no matter what she did, it always returned to its spot on the wall. It was as if the mirror was alive, and it wanted her. Now, every time she looks into it, she can see something new, someone else standing beside her. But she's always alone, or at least, she thinks she is. Now story number 3. The Haunting of Willow Creek. It was a dark, stormy night when Mark and his friends decided to explore the old house. At the edge of Willow Creek, the locals always whispered about the place, how it had been abandoned for decades. After the family living there mysteriously vanished, no one dared to go near. Mark, feeling brave, convinced his friends to go inside. The door creaked open, and the moment they stepped in, the temperature dropped. The house was eerily quiet, except for the sound of dripping water echoing through the halls. They explored room after room, each more decayed than the last. In the attic, they found old family portraits, their faces scratched out, and a strange, dust-covered mirror hanging on the wall. Mark, curious, approached the mirror and stared into it. For a brief moment, his reflection grinned at him, but he hadn't smiled. He blinked, and the grin was gone. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind them. Panic set in. They tried to escape, but the house seemed to twist, leading them deeper inside. The whispers began soft at first, then growing louder, coming from every direction. They could hear their names being called by voices they didn't recognize. In the reflection of the mirror, Mark saw something that made his blood run cold. Behind them, the faces of the vanished family appeared pale, hollow-eyed, and grinning, and one of them whispered, "You'll never leave Willow Creek." The next morning, the house was silent again. Mark and his friends were never seen again. Some say they still roam the house, trapped in the mirror's reflection, waiting for their next victims to wander too close.